For 40 years, you ran the race. You woke to the alarm, you answered the emails, you sat in the traffic crawling into the office, and every single morning you made yourself the same quiet promise. One day, this stops. One day, you reach the finish line, they hand you the gold watch, and you finally get to exhale. Then it happens. The last day arrives. The cards are signed, the cake is cut, and you walk out of those doors a free person for the first time since you were 22. And for about 3 weeks, it is everything you imagined. You sleep in, you potter in the garden, you drink your coffee slowly, while the rest of the country fights the rush hour. But here is what nobody tells you. By week 3, that exhale of freedom starts to feel less like freedom, and more like a void. It usually hits on a Tuesday, because Tuesday was always a work day. And now you are standing in your kitchen at 9:30 in the morning, the house is silent, and the brutal truth lands on you all at once. No one is waiting for you. No one needs the report. No one is going to ring your phone. For 4 decades, work gave you scaffolding. It told you where to be, who to see, and what you were for. We talk about a job as if it only ever gave us a salary. It did not. It gave you identity. It gave you status. It gave you a reason to put your shoes on in the morning. And on that first quiet Tuesday, you realized the income was the easy part to replace. The identity was not. Now, the first few months can be genuinely wonderful. Psychologists call it the honeymoon phase, and it is real. The holidays you delayed for years, the lie-ins, the sheer novelty of having nowhere on earth to be. But UK research on retiree well-being tells a sobering story about what comes next. The honeymoon glow tends to fade somewhere around month 4, and by month 6, a quiet drifting sensation sets in. Studies here in Britain have found that retirement, over the longer term, can significantly raise the risk of depression and pull down self-reported health, precisely because that daily structure has vanished. The very thing you spent 40 years chasing can, without a plan, quietly start to work against you. This is the part of the brochure they never print. Freedom without purpose does not feel like freedom. It feels like drifting. And then, layered on top of the emotional shift, comes a financial one that almost nobody is prepared for. For your entire working life, you were in accumulation. Every payday, the pot grew. You watched your ISA climb. You watched your SIP swell year after year, and that rising number felt like safety. It felt like winning. Retirement flips that switch overnight. Now you are in decumulation. The number does not go up anymore. It goes down. Every holiday, every food shop, every coffee comes out of a pot that is no longer being refilled. And here is the strange psychology of it. Even retirees who are genuinely wealthy, people with far more than enough, start spending as though they are broke, because the fear of running out is louder than any spreadsheet. The maths might say you are perfectly fine, but the feeling says, do not touch it. And that fear quietly steals the retirement you actually paid for. This is where real numbers help, because they can quiet the fear. The Pensions and Lifetime Savings Association sets out what a UK retirement actually costs. For a single person, a moderate retirement, one with a car, a fortnight in Europe each year, and meals out, costs around £31,700 a year. A comfortable one, with real flexibility and a bigger holiday budget, costs roughly £43,900. For a couple, that comfortable figure is about £60,600. Knowing your number, the real one, is the first step to spending without that constant background dread, because that dread pushes people into one of 2 traps, and both of them are expensive. The first trap is underspending. This is the retiree who spent 30 years promising themselves the trip to New Zealand, the meals out, the better seats at the theatre. And then, when the money is finally there, they deny themselves every single one of them. They eat beans on toast in a house worth £500,000, terrified of a future that the numbers say is secure. They reach the end with a large pot and a small life. That is not careful. That is a tragedy in slow motion. The second trap is the opposite, and it is just as dangerous. It is the year 1 splurge. The freedom hits, the tax-free cash lands, and suddenly there is a brand new Range Rover sitting on the drive. There is the extension nobody really needed. There is the generous early inheritance, handed to the children while you are still here to watch them enjoy it. None of those are foolish on their own, but stacked into a single year, they can quietly detonate the next 25. Money spent in year 1 is money that cannot compound, cannot earn, and cannot stretch across the 2 or 3 decades your retirement might actually last. Which brings us to the part that costs Britons the most, and that almost nobody understands until it is too late: the tax trap. When you access your pension, you can usually take 25% of it completely tax-free. It is one of the most generous rules in the British system, but that lump sum is where people make their single most expensive mistake. Here is the error. Many people take the tax-free cash and then leave the rest of their pension sitting in the accumulation stage of their SIP, untouched, assuming it is doing the same job it always did. But the growth and the income inside that uncrystallized pot are not sheltered in the same way as money that has been properly moved into a drawdown arrangement. By failing to structure that move into drawdown deliberately, retirees can expose their gains and trigger tax that a clear plan would have legally and comfortably avoided. And do not forget the state pension itself. From April 2026, the full new state pension rose by 4.8% under the triple lock to £12,547 a year. That sounds like good news, and it is. But the personal allowance is still frozen at £12,570, which means the state pension now sits just a few pounds below the line where HMRC starts taking its cut. Add even a modest private income on top, and a slice of your retirement quietly belongs to the taxman. The current state pension age, by the way, is 67, and it is still climbing. But money is only half the story, because there is something else waiting for you at home. For 40 years, you and your partner ran on separate timetables. You had your routines, they had theirs, and those routines, quietly, protected the marriage. Then retirement arrives, and suddenly you are both in the same house for 14 extra hours a day. And it is never the big things that cause the friction. It is the dishwasher. It is the way they stack it, and the way you restack it the moment they turn their back. It is two people who love each other, deeply discovering that they have absolutely no idea how to share a kitchen at 11 in the morning on a Wednesday. The structure that kept the peace is gone, and nobody warned you that you would have to rebuild it from scratch. So what actually works? The retirees who thrive, the genuinely happy ones, almost all do the same thing. They stop treating retirement as a permanent holiday, and they start treating it like a project. They plan the week with the same care they once gave to a deadline at work, and they build that week on 4 pillars. The first pillar is purpose, something that needs you. A cause, a craft, a grandchild, a garden, a small venture. A reason to get up that has nothing to do with a payslip. The second pillar is movement. The retirees who stay sharp are the ones who stay physically active. Motion protects the body, and it protects the mind right along with it. The third pillar is people. Work handed you a social life for free, and now it is gone. The happiest retirees go out and rebuild it on purpose, through clubs, through friends, through community. And the fourth pillar is learning. The brain that keeps learning, a language, an instrument, a new skill, is the brain that stays young. And underpinning all 4, there is one document that changes everything: a written drawdown plan. Not a vague feeling about your money, but an actual plan on paper that tells you how much you can safely spend each year, where every pound comes from, and how it lasts the distance. Because the retiree with a written plan spends with confidence, and the retiree without one spends in fear every single day. The first year of retirement is not really about money at all. It is about identity, structure, and permission. Permission to finally spend the money you worked your whole life to build. The gold watch was never the finish line. It was the starting gun. If you learned something from this video, make sure to like and hit subscribe. See you in the next one.